In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is but one God, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. My dear brothers and sisters, it is a great privilege and honor to be here tonight and to see all of you. You look so beautiful. I hope you feel as beautiful as you look. We've had a very exciting week. As you know, Judge Pincham lost his bid to be Cook County Board President. Really, that's a loss, tremendous loss. It could have been a tremendous gain, but our people are so divided. Not their fault now. And our people really don't know what that county board presidential seat actually is, what it means. And I think as Muslims we have a duty now to be not only spiritually wise, but politically mature, so that we can help our people to understand what's coming down the pipe. There were a group of politicians at the National House today for lunch, and one particular state senator said, if you cleared out all the prostitutes on Madison Avenue, they would not have been as much in number as those who were taking payoffs for this election. That's a heck of a statement. And that's why black people are so disillusioned and disenchanted with politics and with politicians, because our people don't know who to trust. And so as Muslims who are gaining the trust and confidence of our people, then we have to be eyes and ears for our people. And we have to look at these politicians and tell our people openly, frankly, and forthrightly what we think of them, so that our people don't waste time, energy, and life looking to that which really has no interest in us at all. Gus Savage almost lost a congressional seat, and from what the politicians were telling me today, the Jews spent $625,000 to get that seat away from us. Now, brothers and sisters, I'm not a politician. I've never dealt in that. But what I'm seeing and learning is that any powerful lobby that buys a politician robs the people of their right to elected leadership. If the Jews put $625,000 into the 2nd congressional district and got their man in, then that meant that all of the black people in that district don't have a man to represent them. He has to represent those that bought and paid for him. So he will speak more for Israel, as most of our black politicians do, than they speak for the hurt of our people. This is why the Israeli lobby is so strong in Washington, and why we and those officials that we elect are stronger for Jewish causes than they are for the concerns of our people. This has to stop. You agree?
Yes, sir.
This has to stop. So the Muslim brothers and sisters, I really want to thank you for helping Gus Savage to win his seat. Because if it were not for the followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Jews might have robbed that district of a real strong spokesperson. I mean, everybody doesn't like Gus Savage, but when you put him together against all of those that are too frightened to speak up for us, his faults don't outweigh his good. They don't. So the brothers got their foot wet, going out, as they say, doing the grunt work, putting up the posters for him, securing the brother. Tell me, y'all looked mighty fine, and he was trying on my shoes, and it was a little tight, but he was happy with your work, and that sent a signal, believe it or not, into places that you would not think it sent a signal. It sent one. And I personally want to thank you for looking out at the polling places. And I understand that some of these white folks were moving out with the ballot boxes, and the brothers caught them. If they figured it wasn't going their way, they'd take the boxes and move out. God only knows how many votes they stole yesterday. But y'all know this politics is a dirty business. But look, we live in Chicago. This is home for us. We are 41%. We are the majority population now in Chicago. There's no reason why we shouldn't be Cook County Board President, Mayor, and head of this committee and that committee. You don't have to apologize for having power. Apologize for not having it. That's what we should be doing this morning. But I told them, I said, it's y'all's fault. You politicians don't have the people. You don't electrify people with politics. You wait till the last minute to call Brother Farrakhan. You're so scared that white folk is not going to like you if Farrakhan stands up for you. You waited until the 11th hour. Then you should lose. All of these black people trying to be crossover. They want to appeal to white folk, appeal to Jews, appeal to everybody, and leave their own base. Nobody is coming to black people like they need the help of black people, and ain't nobody voting for them but black people. I guess they'll learn. Maybe. But in the meantime, we got a proposition for separation. We can't hang around here for the next 100 years waiting for white folk and Negroes to do better by us. We have to think seriously about our future. That is, whether or not we have a future in this society. We have got to look now at how God is stretching America in a way that will cause America to collapse as she is. God is stretching America. Have you ever seen somebody on a rack being pulled in several different directions? That must be awfully painful. Let's look at America. America, so worried over Russia's expanse and expanding into Southeast Asia. When the Vietnamese beat the French at Dien Bien Phu and crushed the French, the Americans felt that Southeast Asia was too critical to American multinational corporate interests to allow Vietnam to get away from the West. So America sent billions of dollars into Vietnam. And when Vietnam was over and America was beaten by the communists, America not only left billions of dollars of war material in Southeast Asia, but they left billions of dollars. There also gold in Vietnam that went into the hands of the Vietnamese. They won't tell you this, but the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us that a hole was dug in Asia for America, and she fell in the hole. And she hasn't gotten out of that hole yet. Now, competing with Russia in space, competing with Russia in new weapon systems, has caused America to have an horrendous military budget. A military budget that is so tremendous that it cuts back on social programs for the good and welfare of the American people. This means that the more social programs are cut back, not only are black people affected, but poor white people are affected, middle-class white people are affected, and they are angry today because of America's policies. Now, America is being stretched. Here they sent up a satellite the other day, $275 million, the rocket and the satellite. The satellite was about $150 million, but it wasn't insured. They were so sure that it would be in space and things would go all right, that it was not insured. So it's out there now, floating in a low orbit, ready to come back into the Earth's atmosphere. And we know, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, that the Earth's atmosphere is fire. And any falling body that falls into the Earth's atmosphere catches on fire. So if that huge satellite falls back into the Earth's atmosphere, that's $150 million. Burn up the rocket, another $125 million. It's a lot of money. But white folks, you know, they got it. Or do they? I don't think so. Now look at this. Europe was just getting ready to celebrate the unity of Europe and the common market nations coming together in 1992. Whenever vultures come together, there's a carcass somewhere that the vultures intended to pick. Now, you may not know this, but the last time Europe came together like that, they came together to cut up Africa. And when they come together again, the prize that they want is what? Africa and the third world. But something happened at the last minute. What happened? Pray tell us. What happened in white folks' calculations that they didn't calculate on? Imagine how smart white people are, and you know they're smart. Aren't they? Imagine the depth and the wisdom of the intelligence gathering units of the CIA of America, the KGB of Russia, Mossad of Israel, and the French and English intelligence gathering agencies. None of them in the world predicted the movement of the people in Eastern Europe. Nobody knew this was going to happen. What does that say? If the wise who are in power don't know, can't foretell, don't see, can't predict what is going on in the people, then it's clear that they are out of touch with the reality of what's going on in their own houses. Right. So all of a sudden, people that yesterday were in show business or playwrights or whatnot, all of a sudden became president of a country and wondered, how did I get here? All right. Events moved so fast that the leaders were running to catch up with the movement of the people. All right. That tells us that there's a new power moving among the people that has nothing to do with the governments of the world. That means that the governments are crumbling. That's right. As the Bible and the Quran teach us. Yes. God says in that day, in the book of Daniel, I beheld till the thrones were cast down. When you cast down a throne, you are throwing down a ruler and his government. Now governments are toppling all over the world, just going down. Well, what is this a sign of? If white folk are not in power doing it, who's in power overturning the governments? These are the signs of Christ's return. Yes, these are the signs that the wise have been looking at. Another power is at work in the world. All praise is due to Allah. To the Muslims, these are the signs of the presence of Al-Mahdi, yes, the rightly guided one. Yes, one with power to overturn the oppressive regimes of the world. Yes, are you with me so far? Yes, y'all not asleep now? No, sir. Oh, okay. Now, when the wall in Germany began to be eroded and people began dancing on the same wall that they used to be shot at and killed for trying to cross. And they opened a little hole in the wall. And people were going through from East Germany to West Germany. These are the same people divided by the politics of the Second World War. Are y'all all right? The world was rejoicing that after 40 years of division, a breakthrough in the wall, and East and West began coming together. This dynamic was so, I would say, was so startling. It happened with such speed that both Russia and America did not know how to handle a unified Germany. Now, Germany's coming together created the base for World War I. You didn't hear me. Germany coming together created the base for World War II. What does Germany's coming together signal now? It's possible. Now Europe is shaken because Germany is not an ordinary country. And the German people are not ordinary people. The Germans are very disciplined. They are the most disciplined of all the Europeans. The Germans are the most scientific of all of the European people. The Germans are the most fierce warriors of the European people. They are great competitors. The German libraries are the most stocked in terms of Islam, whether you know that or not. Germany is a great power. Once Germany became divided, even the GDR, the German Democratic Republic, and the other Germany, during what you call the Olympics, both those Germanys were so powerful that divided, they would come in maybe third and fourth, sometimes second in the Olympics. If the two Germanys were together, they would have beaten both Russia and America for the last two Olympics. You're dealing with a powerful nation of about 40 million people, and when they come together, France quakes. Poland quakes, because the Germans have some claim to some land in Poland that was given to Poland that belongs to Germany after World War II. The Germans want their land back. The Polish are afraid because if the Germans become militarily strong, the Germans themselves could take back what was there. Now the argument is raging now. If Germany unites, and they say it will, should Germany be neutral, or should Germany be a part of NATO militarily? Gorbachev says Germany should remain neutral. America says Germany should be a part of NATO militarily and economically. What does this mean? It means the possible flashpoint for World War III. Now, why am I saying this? Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to me that the Third World War would start in Germany. And the stage is now set for it. I don't care how much white folk are happy. Don't you get happy with boss man. When boss man get happy, you remember the words of a wise teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who said that war would begin over Germany. Now look at this. If war begins in Germany, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said it would start with conventional weapons, the usual weapons that war is with. Russia has the greater conventional forces. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said it will quickly escalate to atomic weapons. And Russia, and America will lose practically every soldier that she sends into that area of the world. You got family over there? Well, if they don't get home, you can kiss that family goodbye. Anything that's out there defending American interests, I'm telling you, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to me that very few of them will come back. Practically everything that is sent over will die there. In fact, Allah called Europe the graveyard. And Americans are rushing now to Europe to invest in Europe, but Europe is not going to be there much longer. You can take it or let it alone. The white man's world is coming down, brother, and this means a time of trouble like there has never been since there was a time and a nation. This is not something to rejoice over, brothers and sisters. This is serious because white folk are heading into it. They can't help themselves. Now listen. America is saying, Eastern Europe is collapsing. We need to give money to Eastern Europe to bring them more into democracy. See? Stretching. America's debt is over $3 trillion. You can't even figure what that kind of money is. I didn't say 3 million. I didn't say 3 billion. I didn't say 300 billion. I said $3 trillion in debt. And the interest on that debt is $186 billion every year. I mean, just paying the interest on America's debt is driving America to ruin. Thank you. And all these are things that, minus the teaching of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that you can get just from reading the newspaper. I'm not coming up with any startling revelation except what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. Now that is startling. Now what I want you to do, since we are ahead of the headlines, we are telling you the news before you get it. So if you want to be hip, you don't be hip after the fact. Right. If you're hip, you know what's happening before it happens. You understand? Now look. Don't go screaming this from the rooftop. Just keep it under your lid. And every day you pick up a newspaper and you begin to read. Stop reading the sports section first. Go read what's happening in the world and try to read between the lines, because the white man is not going to tell you the whole truth. Until you see it for yourself, he's not going to say it at all. Some truth. I got to move on because time is running. Now look at this. America wanted Noriega out of Panama. What did they do? They had an embargo of some kind on Panama. They froze Panama's assets in American banks, weakening the economy of Panama. Well, poor people know how to take nothing and get along with nothing. But the rich folk in Panama were really hurting from this economic squeeze put on by America to cause the people to rise up against Noriega. Well, the people didn't rise. And when they did rise, Noriega had it under control. They tried to pull a coup on Noriega, tried to kill Noriega, but he got away. Then they decided on December the 19th, while the people were preparing for the birth of Jesus Christ, while they were readying themselves for the Christmas holiday, on December 19th, in the middle of the night, America pulls out a bomber that she had never tried anywhere in the world on any people, like she pulled out the atomic bomb that she never tried anywhere on any people, but she had it, but she tried it on dark people. Right. And they tried the stealth bomber out on blacks and mestizos in Panama. And what you don't know, they dropped those bombs and killed thousands of men, women, and children in Panama City, in Colón, in San Miguelito, 3 areas, mostly all black and mestizo. Mestizo means part Indian, part white, or part Indian, part black. Killed. After bombing and wrecking the Panamanian economy, they put in a puppet government, and the puppeteer says, I'm going to fast until Bush gives us. They wanted $1.5 billion. And America voted recently in the Congress, they didn't vote, but President Bush sent a request for $500 million hard cash and another $500,000 in economic aid, whatever that is. That's $1 billion. The people in the Congress are saying, look, man, we don't have that kind of money. But right while that is happening, he moves on our brother Daniel Ortega in Nicaragua, as we said he was going to do. Y'all all right? Yes, sir. I know this sounds like a political meeting, but this is spiritual if you understand what's happening. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, he couldn't beat Ortega militarily, so he gets Ortega to submit to free and fair elections. Then they send not $3 million down, they sent millions of dollars down to buy the election. Now they bought the election and they won a victory for democracy, they say. But they mined Nicaraguan harbor. Yeah. In direct contravention of international law. They blockaded Nicaragua. They did not allow the normal trade and commerce of one sister nation to another. So the people of Nicaragua were getting hungrier and hungrier and poorer and poorer. So when they bought the election, the people elected this woman, Violeta Chamorro, because their stomachs were in pain because of America. So now that she won, she's saying we need immediately $300 million or more to rebuild Nicaragua. So President Bush said, send them the money for democracy. But in the meantime, in the Congress, they're saying, look, we've given $4 billion nearly every year to Israel for nearly 40 years. We got to cut the money that we're giving to the Israelis. The Israelis, the Jewish lobby is saying, don't cut it. Senator Dole says he wants to cut it 5%. Somebody else said cut it 20%. And the Jews are screaming. Now look at them being pulled and stretched. Huh? And now a voice comes up from out of the belly of America. You owe us for our labor and our lives. You owe every black man, woman, and child in America that which you worked their forefathers 300 years for nothing. We built your country. You heard me? That's right. Our fathers built this. Didn't we? We didn't get no pay. Louisiana, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee, practically every square inch of that land is soaked with the blood of our fathers. Over 100 million of us were lost in the middle passage from Africa to America. Who's going to pay for that labor in our lives? Growing up in America, not being able to read, not being able to write for 300 years, white folk wouldn't let us learn nothing and deprived every avenue by which knowledge would come to our minds. They took it away from us. And if our fathers didn't study the rising of the sun and the setting of the sun and the changing of the seasons, they wouldn't have been able to tell us, hold on, because our change is coming. Our grandmothers would be able to tell us, hang in there, child. Your day is coming. Well, I'm here to tell you, brothers and sisters, our day has arrived. This is the time of the black man to reclaim his own. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Now, what you don't know is, beloved, is that white folk in America are more discontented than you are. You're discontented, but your discontent is not like theirs because you're not as awake as they are, and you've been in pain all your life. Can you imagine somebody that grow up in an oven? Well, if you grow up in an oven, you don't know when it's hot. You grow up in a deep freeze, you don't know when it's cold. We've been in a hot oven all the days of our life. We in tremendous heat right now, but black folks seem to weather it. There's always somebody in the furnace with us, keeping it enough cool so we can survive. But white folk, they don't know what it's like. And when the floods hit Elba and buried her underwater, 16 inches of water falling in less than 12 hours. Why, look, imagine 40 days of that. That was just 12 hours, a half a day. And the town was underwater. And the water bringing the snakes out of their hiding place. The water damaging the bridges and the foundation of so-called strong buildings, uprooting the railroad tracks. Unusual rain, just like Elijah Muhammad said. And while it's unusual rain in the south, it's unusual snow in the north. Unusual drought in the west. What's happening, black brother and sister? God got his hand on America just like he had his hand on Egypt. Plaguing America with plague after plague after plague. I want you to see, black brother and sister, this is the time of your and my deliverance. Yes, sir. It's a time of trouble. Yes. Like there never was, and it's going to get worse, but it got to get worse before it gets better. It's like the pains of a mother in travail. When a mother is in travail, the pains start. And when the first one comes, it grips her. And then the stomach relaxes after the contraction. And then she's looking at the time. How soon before the next one? Then she braces for the next one, and then pretty soon they start coming. Rapid fire. I'm saying you can see that the end is close because the destructions, the plagues are coming one right after another. He gets an earthquake in the north, then an earthquake in the south, then a flood in the south, then 70 tornadoes like sisters in long skirts beating them in the south. Look here, brothers and sisters. America's in trouble. And I just got to tell America, your behind is in trouble. Not because you're good, but you're in trouble because of 30 million black people that you're trying to find a way to get rid of. You want to kill the people of God. But just as Pharaoh yesterday couldn't do it with the children of Israel, Bush and company can't do it with the black masses of America. This is your day. All praise is due to Allah. So, all praise is due to Allah. So God is stretching America. And you know what else? God is setting down leadership that don't mean you any good. You know how it is when you're pregnant, sister? You know. I don't know, but I read about it. But let me tell you what I read. You know, when you are in the initial stages of your pregnancy, the head is up. The feet are down. When it's time, getting close to time, the baby turns. And the head goes down. And the feet go where they belong. Because it's the head that got to forge the way to freedom. Not the foot. If the foot comes first, it's called a breech birth. Is that right, mother? Painful, too. You can't let your feet take you to freedom. So the leaders that you think will lead you to freedom, God makes a turn. Yeah. And when he makes the turn in the last hour, the real head begins to show up. Yes, sir. And that's the one that got to forge the way for the others. Yes, sir. And the head takes a hell of a beating coming through there. And that's why when the baby come out, it look old and tired as hell because it's been fighting to get here. You understand what I'm saying? All these other would-be leaders, you see them getting quiet today. Right. They're at their wits' end. They have no solution to offer. Right. So they are the feet going where the feet belong. Yes, sir. But the head, by God's permission, is turning now. Yes, sir. And we're in the birth canal. That's right. Soon there'll be pain on the mother and pain on the baby. Pain on white folk and pain on us. Then blood will begin. And you know it's time to come to birth. We ain't got long to be in this condition. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad on the back page of the Muhammad Speaks and on the back page of the Final Call gave us the Muslim program, and it says, we want freedom. We want a full and complete freedom. We want justice. Equal justice under the law. We want justice applied equally to all, regardless of creed or class or color. Isn't that what you want? Yes, sir. We want equality of opportunity. We want equal membership in society with the best in civilized society. The question is, can we get this in America among white people with white people ruling? Let's talk about it. First, if we want to be free, we got to know what freedom is.
Right.
Let's look at the opposite of freedom. A slave. What is a slave? A slave is one whose power and authority is ruled over by another, and whose sphere of freedom is limited according to the wishes of another. Are there any slaves in here? No. A slave is what? One whose power and authority is ruled over by another. Stop right there. Do you have power? Yes. Yes, you do. You got power with your life. You got some authority over your life. But who's in authority and in control over your power and your authority? Some of you don't even know that you're not making your own decisions. You should have free choice over your own body, right, sisters? Come on, talk to me. Yes, I'm for free choice. I'm for choice. What choice, sister? Well, if I want an abortion, I should be able to have it. That's it. It's my body. I do what I want with it. Shame. Look at what you're doing with it. You got authority, you got power, but it's not in your hands. Why, what you mean it's not in my hands? I thinks for myself. But do you, my dear sister? No. Thinking is controlled by the stimulus that comes to your brain that forms what is called your mind. What you see, smell, hear, taste, and feel, along with extrasensory perception. Huh? Now look at this. When you're not looking at what God created, you're looking at what the white man made. What books you read, you ain't looking at none that you wrote. You're looking at what he wrote. Talk to me.
Right.
When you're looking at the TV, you're not looking at what you do.
Right.
You're looking at what he's doing with you, for you, and to you.
Right.
Talk to me.
Right.
Yes, true. And in your heart, you know, I'm right. You go to school. Who's educating you? Who's he educating you to be like? Like himself. You go to church. Oh no, I got a black preacher. My reverend is Reverend so-and-so. Yes, sister, but what is he teaching you? Where did he get it from? Well, I don't know. He got it out of the Bible. Well, then did Jesus speak English? Did Moses speak English? If the first 5 books of Moses are written in English, then what language did Moses speak? How do you know you got the words of Moses? How do you know you got the words of Jesus? Since you don't speak Hebrew,
Right.
and the Bible was revealed in Hebrew,
Right.
and the Injil of Jesus was revealed in Hebrew, how do you know Jesus' words? You got it in Greek. Well, you don't speak Greek.
Right.
You don't speak Hebrew.
Right.
And you hardly understand English. You don't know what you got. All praise is due to Allah.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, brother.
So, the same man that translated the Bible translated you. From a black woman and a black man in Africa to a Negro in America.
Go ahead.
And as he fixed you and turned you inside out, do you think he would leave the Word of God intact when the Word of God would straighten you out? But you've been reading the Bible for 100 years up from slavery, and you still a slave in 1990. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I know. Does it hurt a little? Now listen, sisters. I'm talking to my sisters. I'll be right over here in a minute, brothers. I'll be right over here in a minute. Sisters. Now you know you shouldn't have these babies because you can't take care of them. Who's telling you that? Look here. You know you don't have enough food. You ain't got no man looking out for you. Have that abortion, honey. You got the right to choose. Just like you don't know why you use Crest instead of Colgate.
Listen. That's right. Pay attention.
And just like you don't know why you use Prel instead of that itching stuff, Head and Shoulder. Well, I got an itch. And you don't know why you use Scope instead of Listerine. Well, yes, it doesn't taste. Scope tastes better, honey. That's Madison Avenue sales techniques. And you buy what you've been programmed to get. But you really don't fully understand why you do what you do. It's because the mind is not really yours. That's why Jesus called us sheep, lost sheep, in need of a good shepherd. A slave is one whose power and authority is ruled over by another, and whose sphere of freedom is limited according to the wishes of his master. We can't go no further in America than what white folks say we can go. If white folks say you don't live here, nigga, you don't live here.
That's right.
You can't ride this, nigga, you don't ride there. Till I say so. Well, we protested, yeah, and we let you.
Right. That's right. Go ahead.
We marched on Marquette Park. Yes, we did. And who did you come to get your license, your permit to march? Oh, yes, I forgot. Yes, sir, we did have to come see you. Well, then I'm the boss.
Go ahead.
You do what I tell you to do. When I tell you to do it. Like I tell you to do it. And if you rebel against me, then I come down on you. Sphere of freedom limited according to the wishes of the master. But what is freedom? You know what slave is, and a lot of us fit that one jam up. Freedom is the power of acting. The power of acting in the character of a moral personality according to the dictates of the will. Whose will? Your own will. Without other check, hindrance, or prohibition than such as may be imposed by just and necessary laws and the duties of social life. Freedom. Freedom is not the freedom to be a fool. Freedom is a responsibility. It is the power of acting in the character of a moral personality according to the dictates of the will, without other check, hindrance, or prohibition, other than such as may be imposed by just and necessary laws and the duties of social life. That's a good definition. Do we have freedom? But that's what we want. We want that. Don't we want it?
Yes, sir.
I want that.
Yes, sir.
Don't you?
Yes, sir.
Yes. God wants us to have freedom. Now listen. The power of acting in the character of a moral personality according to the dictates of the will. See, I'm trying to exercise freedom. The power to act in the character of a moral person. I'm standing as best I know how for justice and freedom for black people. I didn't ask their permission to stand.
That's right.
And I don't want them to tell me how to stand. I stand according to the dictates of the will. Not just my will, but my will in submission to the will of God. And I have no other check or hindrance or prohibition on me other than such as may be imposed by just and necessary laws and the duty imposed upon me in my social life. And what is that duty? To civilize my brothers and sisters. It is a duty that is imposed upon me by God. And because I act as a free man, I'm hated by those who want us to be slaves.
That's right. That's right.
And they call me everything but what I am. Justice. What is justice? That which is right. That's what we want. Somebody to treat us right. Conforming to or consonant with what is lawful. Administered according to fairness, as contrasted with strictly formulated rules. We want justice, equal justice under the law. Don't you want equal justice? I ask you, as long as white supremacy is in the world, do you think that white folk actually want you to be free? Did you see the Donahue show? Yes, sir. Wait. Did you see the way those white folks were acting? What did I do? Sitting there, sneering at us, looking down on us, walking around with that chip on your shoulder. What did I do, Cracker? What did I do? Just a free black man that threatens them. One white woman says, "Oh, I feel violence. You sound all right on the surface, but beneath, I hear violence. I'm afraid." Say, hell, you ought to be in our shoes. As long as white folk think like they think, brothers and sisters, they're not going to want you to exercise freedom. Let's be honest. White folk are not willing to suffer the least bit of pain to give you equity in this society. That white woman stood up. If there was a job for black and white, who you think would get it? You would get it because of this affirmative action. See? She got a whole damn country because of our affirmative action. Huh? She got a country to look at. America the beautiful. Washington, D.C., laid out by a black man.
That's right. That's right.
She got the electric lights in the subways and on the streets.
That's right.
Invented by a black man.
That's right.
She got a printing press and the cotton gin, and she got all these things from a black man. And we ain't got nothing. George Washington Carver did all of this stuff from a peanut.
That's right.
And we ain't even got peanuts. Boy, brothers and sisters, and here's a white woman enjoying the fruits of our father's labor.
Right.
And the fruits of black people dying to keep America whole and free.
That's right.
But she don't want to suffer one little teeny bit.
That's right.
To see you get some kind of equity. Isn't that something? Wasn't that instruction? Well, the facts of our history and condition tell us that we do not have this. And the question we have to ask is, can we get it in America, and on what conditions? The only way we'll be able to get freedom, justice, and equality in America is if they allow me the freedom to teach the American people and destroy the mind of white supremacy and black inferiority. Now look at the show. Well, go back where you came from. Why don't you just go back to Africa? As though Africa is the only place that belongs to us.
Right.
See, we don't want nobody to make that mistake.
Right.
And we're not going to make it not in the light of the knowledge that we've been given by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. See, you can't tell me Africa is my home.
Come on.
I'll accept that from you because I don't wish to argue with you.
Come on.
Because I know you don't know. But hell, if we want to argue,
Yes, sir.
when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad asked us the question, what is the square mileage of the earth? How much is the land? How much is the water? And he told us that the earth was 196,940,000 square miles. And the water was 139,685,000 square miles. And the land was 57,255,000 square miles. He was giving us the square mileage of our home. Our home is the entire earth. We ain't a stranger nowhere on it. We just chose the best part for ourselves. Yes. See, brothers and sisters, we need somebody to speak for us that knows the truth. She said, well, go on back to Africa. I said, wait a minute, white woman. I didn't say it like that. I was very dignified. I said, oh, miss. Oh, I said, oh, miss, with a nice smile. I was sneering at her. I looked at the pitiful creature and said, now, miss, I said, you should be careful about telling us where to go back to. Because if we said that to you, you'd be at a loss. Because you are not a Native American. You are not a native of Central America. You are not a native of South America or the Caribbean. You are not a native African. Certainly not a native South African. You're not a native Australian. You're not a native New Zealander. You're not a native Indonesian. You're not a native Hawaiian. You're not a native Japanese. You're not a native Chinese. You're not a native Mongolian. Well, where the hell are you a native of? Where are you a native of? Huh? All praise is due to Allah. They couldn't answer. I said, you're not a native. See, we native everywhere. Because everywhere that brown man went, yellow man went, white man went, they found a sign that we, black people, had already been there. But we chose for ourselves the best part of the earth, and we made it our home. And the best part of the earth is that fertile crescent around the Nile River, Egypt, Arabia, what they call Palestine. That's the core, the heart of the earth that always was in the hand of the original man, the black man. But we have lived all over the earth. So be careful how you talk. And then we got to the part where they came from us. And poor Mr. Donahue, he got lost a minute. Donahue had the mic and mouth froze. His hand began to shake like he had St. Vitus dance or something. Looked like Howard Cosell. When you know the truth will set you free. If white folk allowed me to teach freely in America, it would break up the white man's mind. Break up his mind, brother. See, you want to do it like this. No. If you just knock the chump down, he get right back up. What you want to do is destroy his ability to think like he thinks. And the only way you can do that is to know the truth and drive it into his brain and explode the myth of white supremacy. And as you bust up his brains, you have to give him a new way of thinking. See? But by the same token, this is what has to happen to you. You come to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad thinking like a nigger. You know how niggers think. Negro, nigger, colored people all think the same way. We ain't nothing, never been nothing, ain't gonna be nothing. White folks is the boss, they should rule everything. That kind of thinking keeps us in this condition. For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. When you meet this teaching, it goes right to the core of your thinking and bust up the mind that the slave master gave you. All of a sudden you look at yourself in the mirror, you say, my God, I didn't know I was so sharp. You look at them thick lips and you begin to like your lips. You look at your hair and you begin to say, hey, this ain't bad at all. Don't throw it too much, you might break your neck. But oh, a little fun and a little laughter is always good. But when you learn to love yourself, then you become that which makes others love you. That's what the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad does. What a marvelous teacher. What a wonderful man that God gave to us, that he could work for 40 years and lay such a strong foundation and then depart from us and leave a student and say, student, you can complete the work. Build on the foundation that I laid. And believe me, the love that you see in the black people for me, it doesn't really belong to me. It really belongs to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The love that God has growing in people for me. I never suffered like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for this message. So that love is rightly due to him. The honor is rightly due to him. And the praise belongs wholly and solely to God. People were in their homes watching it like we sit down and watch a Tyson fight or Sugar Ray Leonard. And when it looked like your man was scoring, you jump up. Hey, hit him! Yeah! Lay it on him, Parker. Go ahead! And when you saw the white folk acting the fool and rearing up, what you gonna do, Farrakhan?
That's right.
Come on, Farrakhan, don't do the rope-a-dope on him. Yeah. I used to watch Brother Muhammad Ali, and I didn't know what Ali was doing when he did this cover up, and them Foreman was just beating him, beating on his arms, man. And he said Foreman hit him on his arm. He felt it all the way down in his foot. That Foreman could hit, but he knew if he could take that, Foreman would be out of juice in a minute.
That's right.
And that's how he won his championship back. Now I'm going to tell you why I did what I did. You know, it's so easy to beat people up. And when you're on television, if you're thinking of ego, you think like that. The minute they say something out of line, you boop, bip, bop, bam! Into that one. And then when you blow the first one down, you frighten the hell out of the second one. So they don't come up. You see? But my tactic, if you will, was different. I said, now this beast wants to kill me. And in order to kill me and justify it, he's got to make me look like a person that I'm not. And then he's going to erect a stage for me, and I'm supposed to play on the stage. And suppose I said, shut up, white woman! You don't talk to me like that, you scroungy cave woman! Now, some of you would have said, go ahead, Farrakhan, you told him. But Farrakhan had another thought in mind. I love you, brothers and sisters. And I want you to be able to walk anywhere in America and gain respect, because you're not associated with foolishness. You're associated with wisdom. Now look, those white people, believe me, they were not trying to be devils. Have you ever seen a garter snake? It's a snake. If you don't know snakes, you treat the garter snake just like you do a cobra. But after you fool around with snakes a little bit, you begin to know one snake from another. Did I say something wrong, Brother Wally? Oh. What I'm saying is a garden snake is not poisonous. They have the same look and the same move as the others, but they can't kill you. When I looked at those little white people, I could see their manifest ignorance.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's right.
And when you're dealing with an ignorant person, you don't beat the hell out of them. You teach them.
Yes, sir.
And if in their ignorance they're not in a state to teach them, then the Quran says you walk nobly by and say peace. Isn't that magnificent? You walk nobly by. See, I tried to be a nobleman. And when I saw the ignorance, I smiled and said peace. You really just don't understand. And then I gave them little things to think about, that when their emotions calm down, they'll take that videotape and look at it again, and they'll say, my God, I certainly acted a fool. And you know what? I got a letter yesterday from a white priest who wrote me and said, dear Minister Farrakhan, I had the privilege of watching you on Donahue and on CNN, Larry King Live. I had heard so much about you, and I thought that I really knew you. But in watching not just what you said, but the manner in which you said it, I knew that you were a man of God. Look now, this is a priest now. He said, you gave answers as though you knew the question and had thought long minutes before you answered. Your answers were so precise and yet so succinct. I knew that what you were saying was the truth. And then in the end he said, your gentle, loving, kind way won. Now the wise whites who were looking at Donahue see their ignorant children, and they saw me, and through me you, handling their children with tenderness. And they said in their hearts, surely this is not a man who wishes us harm. The wise were even more angry because we started winning their people and dividing them as they delighted in dividing us. Brothers and sisters, I would like to close this lecture by saying that we fully understand that we cannot get along in peace with white people and equality with them after giving them 400 years of our sweat and blood and receiving in return some of the worst treatment human beings have ever experienced. We believe that our contributions to this land and the suffering forced upon us by white America justifies our demand for complete separation in a state or territory of our own. And so, my brothers and sisters, we have to decide. And so, my brothers and sisters, we have to decide whether we are willing to leave white people and build a future for ourselves and our people, All the prophets have tried to reform them and failed. We don't have the time. Would you bear with me just a minute? Yes, sir. We don't have the time. If we are already separate in a ghetto condition and suffering, what would we be like in a separate condition under God's rule and law? Imagine 30 million of us clean. Not one smoker. All right. Don't need any liquor store.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Not one liquor store among us.
Right. Think about it.
Not one black woman with her backside out of doors. Not one. Oh, sisters, think about that. Brothers, you think about it too. Sisters, do you realize what kind of respect we would have in our nation? You don't want to be an object of lust. You want men to respect you, to love you, to honor you, and to be the kind of men for you that you can love, admire, respect, and also honor. Imagine if we were trained like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wants us to be trained. Intelligent men. Men that will provide for you and the children that you give to us. Free men. Free women. Free not just to be a mother, but free to develop every gift that God has given you. That you can serve the rise of your people, not just as a mother and a housewife, but as a doctor, a teacher, a pilot, a navigator, a chemist, a scientist, and a sharer in government. Ambassadors from your nation to the nations of the earth. Think about it. Think about driving cars. If we don't make them at first, hey, the Japanese will be glad to make them for us. But it'd be better when we learn how to make them ourselves. And we got people who know how to make automobiles. We got people who know how to do some of everything. Well, listen, I don't want to be a whole bunch of niggas. I'm scared of you people. I understand. You would be scared of us until we're civilized. But there's nothing more beautiful than a civilized man and a civilized woman whose manners are refined by our spiritual and moral development, and we are courteous and kind and loving to one another. Think about that kind of nation. Well, that's a long way off. Only as long as it takes for us to get away from the cracker. Excuse me, the Caucasian. Don't you know if you and I got out from under his influence, we could be made righteous almost overnight. These brothers that you see out there on 47th Street, 63rd Street, West Madison, they're not criminals. They're in a criminal condition. Most of these brothers that you see standing around so clean and lovely looking, hey, they weren't holy men when we met them. Isn't that right, Brother Benny? Right. Brother Benny says, right. He said absolutely right. If some of us told you our past, you'd fall out on the floor. Some of us were stone killers. Some of us bank robbers. I ain't asking them to raise their hands. Some were pimps. Some sold drugs. Many of them wife beaters, drunkards, swear all the time. But now, much different. And ain't nobody got a stick beating them to make them do nothing. They're doing it because they want to do it, because they don't like the way they've been made, and they want God to remake them again in his image and after his likeness. Oh, brother and sister, to me, I'm going all over this nation, and I'm going to ask black people if you want to be separated. And before we're separated, we want to go to the government and get what's owed to us. Did you see Donaldson ask me, well, come on, tell us, how much do we owe you? Well, what is it? What is it? Come on. Don't you know if we told them white folks what they owed us, that would close the door right then on negotiation. You see a car you like, and you go in the store and say, I like that car. What's the price? He says, $78 trillion. You say, oh, well, you can keep it. Brothers and sisters, when you really know what is owed you, the white man, in order to pay you, would have to turn the country into your hands, and then each one of them die as a dividend. That's serious, man. I'm not asking that. But 100 million lives lost? You ain't got but 200 million white folk here. 180 million. But that's 100 million died in the Middle Passage. Don't count those that died since we've been here and those that they're killing today. And every time you squeeze the trigger and kill one of your brothers, that's the white man killing your brother, because that's his mind sitting up inside your head. He got to pay for all of that. Then every time God gave you a leader, he killed your leader. What is Martin Luther King's life worth? You can't even put a price on Dr. King. What was Malcolm's life worth? What was Medgar Evers' life worth? What was Marcus Garvey's life worth? Paul Robeson, call the roll. They owe you some money. And more than money, they owe us land and an existence on that land. And if they will do this, God will lift up this chastisement off of their heads. And you watch. Listen, I don't want you to think that Brother Farrakhan is some Jim Jones now. Because see, the trouble with Jim Jones is everybody believed that Jim Jones was who Jim Jones told him he was. The big difference. You get 600,000 black men out of prison. Some of them believe in you, and some of them don't. Some of you believe in Islam, and some of you won't. But a nation is not just for Muslims. The nation is for all our people. Whether they believe in God or not, that's not the question. They're owed something. Do you follow what I'm saying? So you can't lead people to the slaughter and get everybody to take Kool-Aid. I mean, that's a hell of a drama there now. All right, everybody, get your cups. Music, please. You will never give that kind of power to nobody. You must never give that kind of power to anybody but God. And I'm not God. I'm not a prophet. I'm just your brother, a servant of God. And as long as I'm right, stand with me. But if I'm wrong, stand against me. That's the only way you know you'll never get in a trick again. Now, if you listen to what I'm saying, do you think this sounds like a pipe dream? You all didn't answer. But it's okay. But if you read your scripture, whether you read it in Hebrew, Greek, or English, God never blessed his people until he first separated them from their enemies. And once he got them separated, that's when he showered his blessings on them. Even right now, while we're in the clutches of our enemy, we are being blessed. But the greater blessing will come when we cut that umbilical cord and become a free and independent people. I hope and pray to Allah that each of you will begin now to qualify yourself for independence. My young sisters that are in school, don't take frivolous courses. Young brothers that are in school, don't take these silly courses. Don't go to college for black studies. Get black studies on your own time. Don't let the white man trick you and give you a degree in black studies that you can't use. You can stay at home and read Message to the Black Man, How to Eat to Live, The Fall of America, The Destruction of Black Civilization, The Wretched of the Earth, The Choice. You can read books that will give you a black perspective. They came before the Mayflower. You can read the brother that spoke at the final call building, Ivan Van Sertima's magnificent books. You can read the writings of J.A. Rogers. You can read Sheikh Anta Diop. We've got scholars that have written books. You don't have to go to college and spend thousands of dollars a year to come out with black studies degree. Does that make sense? You can buy those books that I mentioned for less than $100 and just groove. Groove. You'll be so heavy, brother, when you get finished those books. And then when you dig into Bible and Quran, which ain't nothing but black studies. If you understand. No, when you go to college to learn those things that have put the white man on top of civilization. Now, what are those things? First, y'all all right? all branches of engineering. Civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. What else? Chemical engineering. All the branches of engineering, study that, because it teaches you the problem-solving areas in building a civilization. Mathematics at the dawn of civilization. You got to become a master of mathematics in order to be a builder. You've got to know physics, chemistry, biology, zoology, botany. You've got to know animal husbandry. You've got to know agriculture. Huh? You've got to know law from a domestic and an international perspective. You've got to know commerce. You all with me? You've got to know history. Because if you don't know what was, you can't see the possibilities. When you hear me say to the government, let the prisoners go, man, the prisoners was jumping up and down in themselves. Get me out of this place, Farrakhan! Can you imagine 600,000 black men buffed and strong? Good God Almighty, man. And them black folks saying, hell, I don't know what they saying. I'll go to Africa, wherever the hell you want to go, Farrakhan. Just get me out of here. I'll spend time anywhere building something better than this. And that's how the white man built America. He let the prisoners go. And that's how he built New Zealand and Australia. You see that little koala bear on TV? They call it the land down under Australia. Look at it sometime. Them crackers that built that up, they were criminals. Those brothers in there are not criminals, they're genius. They're the rebels that hate the system. Man, we could build a new world with them brothers. Sisters, you're not going to let 600,000 black men get away and you ain't going with them. As much of a, excuse me brothers a minute, as much of a male shortage as there is, and any of them that's a little, you know, we straighten that out. We straighten that out. I know we got little hard mamas in here too. Oh, hard sister, don't worry about that thing. It's all right, sis, I understand. Men in this condition, I understand why you don't want them. But hell, a woman can't give you and satisfy you. Totally. Because see, your soul is crying out for a real man. We make him into a real man, sister. You just got to become a real woman. You can't play man next to a real man. You might act tough with another woman. Hey, sister, shut up. But when that real man started barking, you say, all right, darling. I'm going to be myself. Well, since I said that to the sister, well, you know, brothers, if you're a little sweet, you know what I mean? I understand, brothers. I really understand. I ain't got too much understanding, but a little. Brothers, you know, we don't want to dog our people out. Because our people are victims of circumstances. So don't dog your people out because they're not what God wants them to be, because ain't none of us too much of what God wants us to be. But there's a way out of everything. I don't care what kind of life you've been living, there's a way out of that into the life that God created you to be a part of. So brothers and sisters, let's go to work on ourselves. And you students, go to work. You that are studying languages, study language. We've got to master Spanish. We've got too many of our people forming a crescent from Central America all the way around to the Caribbean that speak Spanish, and it's a drag that we don't speak no Spanish. We got to master French. French. Well, why French? Because them French have corrupted a lot of our people. You go down to Guadeloupe, Martinique, Haiti, you got to go, you speak French. You go to Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, French. Senegal, French. Benin, French. All West Africa, a lot of West Africa, French and English. Then you get into North Africa, Arabic. And when you get down into Central Africa, you know, you get Swahili and these kinds of languages, which are derivatives of Arabic. You know the Arabic, you will hear the Swahili, and you know the Swahili. Am I close to the truth there, brother? Or right on it? This is my brother from Africa. He said, absolutely true. Now, brothers and sisters, look. If you will become this kind of student, don't go to the white man's school trying to make his school a black school. That's a frustrating thing. They don't have any black studies here. Well, we'll just have to force them. Silly. Go there like the Chinese. The Chinese ain't saying, oh, the president's name ain't Twing Twang Lu, so I ain't coming here. He don't care if the man ain't Twing Twang Lu. He came there to get mathematics, chemistry, physics, and he's going back to China where Twing Twang Lu is. Don't go there with this sick mind. You got to turn a white man's school into your school. Go snatch out of it everything of value that you can get out of it. Then come on out and let's come here and build for your people. That's what you have to do. So I thank you for listening, and may Allah bless you as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. Sisters, look. Your brother is going to take a few days. I guess I was so spirited tonight because I'm going to get a few days rest.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I want all of you to know, particularly the laborers, how very pleased I am, laborers, with your work, and pleased that the nation is on the move, growing. We know the areas that we need to improve on.
Yes, sir.
And we must continue to work to improve these areas. We have a wonderful beginning in our school, and we're coming almost to the end of our first year. And it's been a wonderful year, a year of a lot of trial, but a year of much joy.
Yes, sir.
Because we're in our own.
Yes, sir.
I want the parents to understand what is happening and the teachers to understand, and I don't want you to be impatient because you don't see everything that you wanted to see in the first year of your operation. Be patient. Don't abandon this because you don't get what you want. I'm telling you, your children are better off in their own, under their own. Just be patient. Just be patient. Work with it.
Yes, sir.
And you'll see your children will be better being in this environment. I know you believe that.
Yes, sir.
Then by the grace of God, let us act with wisdom. Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm so gratified by your attendance tonight. You really look so beautiful. The gymnasium in a little while will be too small. And the mosque will too.
Yes, sir.
Because when I come back, if it is the will of Allah, I have a tour to go on, but on Sundays and Wednesdays, I'm going to be here. And I'm going to be here for a reason. I want to help the ministry and those of you who wish to become ministers. I want to begin to work with the ministry class myself, because we need help all over the country. Places are opening up, and we need young men and or women who will take up that responsibility. And you can't jump into the ministry. You first must go through the basic training to become a soldier first. That's what Brother Farrakhan had to do. I really had to become a soldier. And I mean, what a base to begin your ministry, a magnificent specimen of a soldier of God. But after your boot training, we say, then you can come into the ministry class and let's get busy. But what I want to show the ministers or student ministers is the art and the science of pastoring. It's one thing to get people. It's another thing to keep and maintain people. Can you just give me one more minute? You know, we have problems as a community that have to be addressed. Would you agree?
Yes, sir.
And some of our most difficult problems are, one, problems of teenagers, young people, getting a grip on themselves before they get a grip on each other. Older people have that problem too. Then we have some serious domestic problems that have to be addressed. How do you handle yourself in your relationship to your mothers, your relationship to your fathers? What is God's way in dealing with your parents? See, brothers, I want you to be the strongest, wisest, bravest, boldest men that the world has ever seen. But I never want to see any brother or sister disrespect their parents. That is not tolerated by God. And he frowns upon any of us who raise our voices even at our parents. I want to teach you these disciplines and why when I come back. Sisters, how do you relate to your husbands? Husbands, how do you relate to your wives? Why should we get married and love each other, and in a few short months, the thrill is gone? How could you lose it so fast? Or did you ever have it? And if you believe that you had it, what caused it to evaporate like a cloud or vapor? And if you cannot protect love for one another, then you cannot build strong family. Then we can't survive, because the foundation, which is two people, is too weak for the family to survive. So if we're going to have strength as a community, whether you want to be a Muslim or not, that's irrelevant. You already are a Muslim. Not because I say so, God says so. You are born of the righteous. You ain't got to sign no paper to be this. You were born this. You were born of the righteous. You just got to make up your mind to be yourself. But whether you go to the church or the mosque or the synagogue or no place at all, we've got to learn as women how to relate to women. Because y'all don't get along well. And in your heart, you know that's right. And you should be real tight with each other as women. If you're not in competition with each other, you can be tight with each other. Watch out now. And sisters, the brothers have a better chance of being in unity with each other than women do. It's a lot more difficult to get women together, isn't it, sisters? Particularly if it's a woman trying to get women together. Man can help get women together real quick. That's why the pimp is so successful, you know what I mean? He gets women together. He beats the hell out of them, though, brother. That's not our way. But every one of our problems come from broken relationships. And we've got to pastor our families, husbands and wives, so that we can relate better to each other. So when I come back, you got a husband you got a problem with? You got a wife you got a problem with? Mother-in-law, yeah, bring her to you. All these mother-in-law problems, father-in-law problems, we just gonna work with it. We got problems. That's right. What about incest? How do you handle that? When the father hits on the daughter, how do we handle that, fathers? If we're doing that, why? What is the reason for that? That's serious. What about child abuse? What about wife abuse? I mean, brothers just beating up the woman. Come on. These are problems, aren't they? Now, all the fine teaching that I did today, that's nice, isn't it? But the most profitable teachings are the teachings that help us to get along better with ourselves and get along better with one another. So I promise you, when I come back, we're going to do the pastoral kind of teaching that will make us a strong, vibrant community. What about alcohol? What is it? Why do we do it? What about drugs? What is the effect of marijuana on us? What is the effect of cocaine on us? What is the effect of nicotine on us? We need to know. Scientifically, you need to know. And once I put it out there to you, you take it and check it out. And then not because somebody told you to give it up, you give it up because it makes sense to give it up. That's the thing that makes you a free man, when you make the decision yourself. All Brother Farrakhan is going to do is put the knowledge in your lap, and that knowledge will develop the will. And once you have the will, you say, that's it, I'm through with it. It's done. Homosexuality, how did it come into the being? Where did it start? Are the men that are that way really women in a man's body trying to find a way to express themselves? Are the women that way because God made a mistake? Well, how do these things happen? Would you like to know? You would? Man, well, we got a lot of getting together to do. And that's going to be on Wednesday nights, along with Money Good Homes and friendship. Because I don't care what we know, if we can't translate it into getting some money without stealing and bettering our condition in this life, then it's all just talk. Would you be interested in coming out to hear these lectures?
Yes, sir.
Me too. So may Allah bless each of you and keep you while I'm away from you. This Sunday, if it is Allah's will, Brother Khalid, the special assistant, will be here in Chicago. And I want you to fill the mosque to capacity. You remember Brother Khalid? If you haven't met him, if you haven't heard him, oh, you in for a treat. He's one of the finest teachers anywhere to be found in North America. Brother Akbar sends you his love and greetings. He's in Namibia tonight, celebrating the independence of Namibia. And he will be going back to Ghana and stopping back in the United States to give us the greetings for a few minutes. And then he's going back to go to work in West Africa, building the Nation of Islam there. And so you all that come, you're going to have opportunities to travel all over the world and meet your people everywhere and begin to teach them after you learn. So I'm just so excited about the nation. And I'm excited seeing these wonderful brothers and sisters here tonight. I think I see Sister Hafiza's father here. Stand up, my brother. So good to see you, sir. Real pleasure. When you meet brother, you'll know where Sister Hafiza gets her strength from. A great soldier, a great and brilliant man. May Allah bless you. We're so honored to have you tonight, my brother. How many of you are here tonight for your first time, never been out before? May I see your hands? Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you.